So this is the JIRA part of the training. I'm guessing most of you are currently using JIRA, and there are going to be some changes to the process where we migrate code to production. So that's what I'm going to go over now. So you may have seen this diagram. It's a high-level diagram of the end state of what is going to happen at the end of the ServiceNow project. Not all of this is being implemented for this August release, which will go live on Monday. So on the next slide, I'll go over what's happening on Monday versus what's going to happen December onwards. But eventually, incidents, problems, and requests will all be in ServiceNow. And if there is code migration or development work that needs to be done for any of those items, then that will go into JIRA. And then this is our JIRA workflow, right? Review, fix, QA, UAT, and deploy. And then instead of moving the code in JIRA, we'll make those changes in ServiceNow going forward. So, oh, sorry. Okay, this diagram goes over what is happening now in August on Monday versus what happens later. So for Monday, there's no change to the way that tickets are initiated. If you or your users, business users, create tickets in JIRA today, you will still create those in JIRA. There's no change to that. If you get tickets from through the Remedy JIRA integration, that will still continue the way it does today. The Remedy part is not changing for August, so all of that will stay the same. And then once tickets are in JIRA, they'll go through the normal process for the most part, but then when it's time to migrate the code, we'll actually create a change request in ServiceNow and go over the whole change request process that Rachel just went over. So I'll go into a little more detail now about what those changes are. Okay, so this slide goes over our existing workflow that we have today on the top row versus our new workflow, which you see in the second row. So one thing you'll notice is review, development, QA, UAT. It's all the same. There's no change to that part of the process. It's just the way it is today. But today, after UAT, we then, once UAT is completed, we move to the migrate status. And once everything's ready to send the ticket for approval, we go ahead and go to approve migration, and then actually do the code migration in conduct migration, send the ticket back to the business user for verification, and close, right? So there will be some changes to that process, and that's what we'll go over in detail. One thing I want to point out is that these boxes represent the statuses in JIRA, okay? Whereas the arrows represent the transitions, and the transitions are the buttons that we click on to move the issues through the workflow. So on the next slide, I'll go over what the new transitions are. But this slide is really going over the statuses. I just want to make sure everybody's clear about that. Okay. So I'm going to start with UAT since review, development, and QA are just the same as they are today. In UAT, there will now be a button that's called UAT testing approved. And this is a place where somebody from business has to confirm that they have tested in UAT. This is not really any change from the process that we have today. Even today, somebody from business needs to confirm that UAT testing has been completed. It's just the name of the button is changing. And for audit purposes, just as it is today, we will continue to need somebody from business to approve. Now, that process does not have to change. If you currently, if your JIRA business users come into JIRA to say that they've done UAT testing, they can still continue to do that. If they let you know by email or verbally that testing has been completed, that's okay too, but then you just need to put a comment in the JIRA ticket saying who tested it and that testing was successful, okay? Moving on, so once testing is completed successfully, then the status will be ready to deploy. And this is similar to migrate. It's kind of a holding bucket before we're ready to actually create the change in ServiceNow. Okay, so this is our chance to confirm that everything is ready to go and that we're ready to go ahead and create the change. As soon as you, when you're in ready to deploy, the button that you'll see is create change request. And that will actually initiate the process to create the change request in ServiceNow. It takes about 15 seconds for the change request to get created. And once it is created, it'll come back and stamp the request ID number in JIRA so that you have a way to link to ServiceNow and find your ticket over there. And as soon as you click on the create service, is there a question? Oh, was there a question?
We just have someone logging back in. Sorry, and we're also chatting. Somebody wasn't able to see your slide, but I'm working with them in the chat.
Okay,
I'll ping
cool.
you if there's a question for you in the chat.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, as soon as you click on the create change request, your JIRA ticket will go into the status awaiting change. And then it will remain in this status until the ServiceNow change request is completed and closed. When the ServiceNow change request is closed, the integration will actually come back and close the JIRA ticket. So once you create the change request, there's nothing left to do in JIRA. Anything that you need to do after that point will be done in ServiceNow. You can still come to the JIRA ticket to find out the status of what's going on with the ServiceNow ticket. One thing to keep in mind is that the integration is pretty simple. Once you create the ServiceNow change request, we're not going to be coming back to get any additional information from the JIRA ticket, even if anything changes on the JIRA ticket. So we're actually going to make the instruction and a couple of the other fields read-only because we don't want anyone to make a change in JIRA thinking that, oh, this change will then go to ServiceNow. No, once the ServiceNow ticket is created, you have to make any changes that you want in ServiceNow. You can't make them in JIRA anymore because nobody will know that you've made them. Okay? Okay, so this slide kind of goes over the transitions as I was mentioning earlier. Again, review, development, QA, UAT, there's really no change. It's just what we have today. But you will see that from UAT, there's this UAT testing approved. That will be the button that the business tester would click on, or you can click on it on their behalf and then put in a comment. And once that button is clicked, then the ticket goes to ready to deploy. That's the next status. From ready to deploy, you'll see the create change request button. And that's what will initiate the change request to get created in ServiceNow. This button is only available to AS. So nobody from business can click on this because we want to make sure that somebody in AS has confirmed that this is ready to go. Okay. Once you do click on the button, your ticket will go into awaiting change. And then from awaiting change, it's the integration that will close the ticket. Okay. Okay, there's not too many changes to the screens in JIRA, but I did want to point out a few things. As I mentioned earlier, the integration is pretty simple. We're not moving a lot of data back and forth between ServiceNow and JIRA, but there are a few key pieces of information that we are moving from JIRA to ServiceNow. So that includes the JIRA issue key, as well as the subject. These are the, two really key pieces of information that help you identify the JIRA ticket. And other than that, the other two pieces of information that we're moving are instructions and scheduled date to prod. Okay, so instructions, this is where today the developer can put in whatever instructions are needed to migrate the code. This will continue to be used the way it is today, and then this field will actually appear in the ServiceNow description of the implement task. So I'm going to do a demo in a little bit, and I'll show you where that goes. And also, schedule date to prod is the other field that will go to ServiceNow, and this will appear as the start date on the planning tab for the change request. Okay, other than that, the migration tab has been simplified to some extent. We've gotten rid of some fields that we no longer need because that information will now be in ServiceNow. So you'll see it simplified to some extent. And then the other tab I want to talk about is ServiceNow. This is a new tab that you'll see in JIRA. All the fields on this tab are read-only, so it's you can't edit anything, but it's really just to see information about what tickets you're linking to. Some of the first two fields are really applicable for the December release, not right now, but the key fields for this release are the SN change request ID and the implementation date. So as I was saying earlier, as soon as the ServiceNow ticket is created, the JIRA ticket will get stamped with the change request ID. And this is really the key piece of information that will enable you to find your ticket in ServiceNow. So that's an important one. And then the implementation date. Once you close the ServiceNow ticket, which closes the JIRA ticket, as part of that integration, the status of your JIRA ticket will get changed to closed. And the other thing that will happen is the implementation date in JIRA will get populated. And again, this is really just an easy way for you to see what's going on. If you need to let your clients know what's happening, if you're in JIRA, you can quickly just see if the migration happened or not and when it happened. Okay. Okay, so I do want to go over a few important things. We've touched on some of them, but I just want to make sure everybody really is clear about what's going to happen on Monday, okay? So starting Monday, any changes to production have to be made through ServiceNow. Our existing workflows in JIRA are changing, so there will not be the option to migrate code through JIRA anymore. So if you have changes in any other environments like UAT or int, those can still happen in JIRA. You can just close the ticket before you get to the step where it says create change request. That's fine. So it's only production changes that need to go through ServiceNow. So I just want to make sure that distinction is clear. Okay. Implementation tasks will also be going away as of Monday. If you have any open implementation tasks, I will be converting those into enhancements. Okay, if you have any that you can close before the weekend by Friday, that would be great just to clean things up before the migration happens. And then also any tickets that are in migrate, approve migration, or conduct migration, I'm going to move those to ready to deploy. So basically anything in those statuses, it implies that the code has not been moved yet. And so if it hasn't been moved, then the move is going to have to happen in ServiceNow. And so by going to ready to deploy, you're going to get the chance to click on that create change request button. Okay. If your tickets are currently in verification, I'm actually going to close them because since they're in verification, that means they've already had the code migrated, so we don't want that to happen a second time. So I'm going to close them. If it turns out that verification is not successful for some reason, you can let me know. We'll probably need to create a new ticket or something. I checked, there are not too many tickets in this status, but again, if you do have anything in the status in verification, if you can close it before Friday, again, that would be great just to make sure that our transition is smooth and clean. Another thing I want to mention is that business users will not be going into ServiceNow in August. Any approval or anything in verification, anything they need to do, somebody in AS will need to contact them to let them know that that has to happen. and then they will just indicate to somebody in AS that work has happened, and then the AS person will update ServiceNow. So business users will be added to ServiceNow over starting in December, over the next few months. It'll be a phased rollout. So, that they will not be in ServiceNow right now in August. Okay. Oh, and then the last thing is that, each team does things a little bit differently in AS. So some teams have a master ticket that they use to move all the code for a project when it's going live to move it to production. So you can still do that. If you use an implementation task for that today, you'll need to use an enhancement instead. And you can still continue to link all your JIRA tickets to that ticket as your master ticket. That'll stay the same. And if you use an implementation task, you would just continue to do that. It's just when it's time to actually migrate the code, that will happen in ServiceNow, not in JIRA. Okay. One thing I also want to mention is you are probably, or again, not all teams use this, but some teams use Quintana. And if you do, the integration between JIRA and Quintana will stay the way it is. So when you migrate your code, your JIRA ticket will get updated with what the changes were. We have not done any integration between ServiceNow and Quintana. So if you need to see any Quintana updates, that would be in JIRA. Okay. So I'm ready to do a demo. Were there any questions? Hi.
Yeah, I have one question. See, we used to raise a JIRA ticket for some production task. Like I need some file from production, or I need to perform some manual instruction like get the log file from production. For that, do we need to still create a ServiceNow ticket?
So who does that ticket go to? Like who provides that for you? The log file?
It's the tech team.
Let me jump
developer.
Okay.
Karen, let me jump in.
Sure.
So keep in mind that the change request system in ServiceNow is only being used for production changes. So when you make a request from an infrastructure team in order to get log files or other information like that, and it's not a change to production, it's just a pull, then those requests can continue to happen either on a standard JIRA ticket, bug, incident, or task, because you're not changing production. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, Kiran. This is Garima. I have a quick question, please.
Sure.
So I understand that so currently we have a lot of tickets open that we are planning to go to production in September. So when the time comes, do we need to create a new service request for each one of them, or is it an automated process that I just have to click a button and it would do by itself?
Well, so you have existing tickets in JIRA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would process them the same way. It's just instead of doing the conduct migration in JIRA, you'll see the create change request button in JIRA, right?
Okay, I don't have to go to ServiceNow and create tickets all over again, right?
No, because when you click, I'll go back to that slide. Okay, 1 second.
Sorry about this.
No problem. We want to make sure everybody understands the process. So you will not have to go and create tickets in ServiceNow because the integration will do it for you. So you will not manually create them, but they will be created when you click on the create change request over here in this part of the workflow.
Okay.
So, yeah. Does that answer your question? Or?
It does. So suppose we have 75 tickets that are going together. We can club it into one and then do it for one, right?
Yeah. Is that what you do today? You have a master ticket in JIRA and you just move the one ticket?
Right.
Correct. So you can still do that. You don't need 75 change requests in ServiceNow. One is fine.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so everyone's ready for the demo?
Hi. Hello. Yeah, I have a question. So once
Sure.
the ticket moves to the production, and will the ticket automatically close after the migration, or like?
Yeah. So once the ServiceNow ticket is completely closed, the integration will close the JIRA ticket for you. So you never have to come back to the JIRA ticket and close it. It'll happen automatically.
Okay, so if it happens automatically, then how the verification will be done after the production migration?
Yeah, that's going to happen in ServiceNow. So I'm actually going to do a demo now and show you where that's going to happen.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay. So all of these steps of approving and conducting migration and verification, these are all going to ServiceNow, okay? Which we'll see in a second. Yeah? Okay. So I'm starting the demo. I'm in JIRA UAT. That's the environment I'm using. And as I mentioned earlier, there's no change to the way tickets are initiated. I'm still going to create my ticket in JIRA. One thing I want to make sure I mentioned is that this new workflow is only for bugs and enhancements. Okay, there's no change to simple tasks, the open and close kind of tasks. No change to that. And then again, implementation tasks are going away. You'll need to use an enhancement if you are using them right now. And then also, JIRA change requests, if you use them, they'll continue to be available and nothing is changing about those either, okay? Okay, so I'm creating my bug in FSS. Okay, I'm going to say I'm doing a data fix and I'm going to say it's for AP and then okay. So I have my JIRA ticket, and then as you'll see, the beginning part of the workflow is just the same way as it is today. After review, we've gone to development. Say my development work is done. I'm ready for QA. I send the ticket to QA. The status is QA, and now I see the Send to UAT button. I will click on that. Okay, and this is where things start to change. Okay, now you'll see the UAT testing approved. That's the new button that either a business tester or you on the business tester's behalf can click. Okay, I'm going to say, yes, we did UAT testing. Everything looks good. And now you'll see this create change request, right? Now, before I create that change request, I want to make sure that I have my instructions and my scheduled date to prod populated, right? Here's my instructions. Okay. So the ticket has all the information that it needs. Everything is ready. I'm going to click on Create Change Request. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, it takes 15 seconds for the process to go through. One thing you probably know is that when you're in the view mode in JIRA, it only shows you the fields that you have populated. If there's no value, it doesn't show you those fields. So right now you see the main tab and then you see the migration tab, right, where we put the instructions. And we, dates are over here. So our scheduled date to prod is here. But now when I refresh, we should see a ServiceNow tab. And we do. Okay, great. So we have our ServiceNow change request ID, and I'm going to need this, so I'm going to copy that. And then you'll also see over here, there's a change creation date as well, okay? So now I'm ready to go to ServiceNow and look at my ticket over there. I'm going to look for this ticket. Okay. One thing you'll see is that automatically 2 tasks have been created for you. There's the implement task and the validate task. And so basically, if you think about our old workflow, you know how we used to have steps for first approval and then conduct migration and verification. There's no similar concept of workflow that we're using in ServiceNow, so the way we've handled that is through these tasks. So there's the implement task where we'll actually do the code migration, and once that is done, there's the validate task for a business to do the validation. In the interim, for August, business will not come in to do this validation. Somebody in AS will coordinate with them and confirm that validation is done. So somebody on the phone, you were asking about that earlier, right? So this is where the validation will happen in ServiceNow. Okay. So this is my parent ticket, right? So I need to fill out a few things over here. I need to choose the CI. And then I'm also going to choose the assigned group. I'm going to choose this. And then I believe Rachel just went over the change process with you, but I know most people are seeing this for the first time, so I think it's a good idea to just get a chance to see it again. I can now say that I want to send this for approval, request approval, and then it will tell me that I still need certain fields. So it's kind of easy. I find it easier to do that first, and that way you know what fields you need. So as indicated by the stars. So here on my schedule tab, you'll see I had put in the schedule date to prod of Thursday, and that has appeared here as the planned start date. And then I'll also be putting in an end date, right? And then it does check to make sure your end date is after your start date. It has to be like at least 1 second after. And then risk assessment. When you answer these questions, it'll determine for you what the risk is. Okay, so I think I got all the fields I need. Okay. So now if I go to approvers, you'll see that there's one approval here, and this has gone to Chris London because he is the group manager for this assignment group. Okay, that's how it determines where it needs to go for approval. And since we're in this demo environment, I can actually go in as Chris, and I'm going to approve for him. Okay, I'm going to find the ticket. I believe it's this actually. Okay, I'm going to look everything over, make sure it looks like it's ready to go, check all the data on here, make sure it looks good, and then I will approve. Okay. Now you'll see that it has been approved here, and a new approval has been created. Okay, and this is, again, eventually it'll go to the business owner, but right now it'll go to somebody in AS based on the CI. So now I'm going to go in as Bradley and approve this. So my approvals, let me see, there's just these two. Approve. Okay, so now I'll go back in as myself And I'll look for my ticket. And if I go down to the bottom, you'll see both are approved, right? So that means now we're ready to do the implementation or the code migration, okay? So I'm going to go to my tasks, and the first one I want to do is implement. And so you'll see this description is populated. That was the instructions that I had put in JIRA, and then they came in over here, okay? I'm going to choose the CI. I'm going to assume that I just migrated my code. Everything was done successfully. And you'll see it's closed successful. Okay? Now I'm going to go back to the parent ticket. So at this point, this is when somebody from AS would need to contact the business owner to have them verify that the changes in production were successful. So again, I need to choose my CI and let's say I talked to the business user, they verified, and we're ready to close this and say, I'll say business owner confirmed change was. And then I should actually put in the name so that this is, again, for audit purposes. The auditors need to know who approved the change. Okay. So I'm going to save. And then I am ready to say this is closed. And I'm closed. So you see both are closed successful. Okay? So now we've done everything we need to do on the change request. The things we needed to do were to get the 2 approvals and close both the tasks. Now we're ready to actually close the parent ticket, the change request. Okay? So to do that, I want to put in my closure information. I'm going to say if it was successful. And then I'm going to, before I do that, I just want to point out this view JIRA issue. As you know, the integration is pretty simple, but you can always use this button to get any data you need from the JIRA ticket. So this is kind of a nice feature. If you just need a quick reference to anything from here, you can always do that. Okay, so I'm actually ready to close the parent ticket, the change request. Okay. And then you'll see the state of the change request is now closed, successful. And as part of closing this, our JIRA ticket will get closed as well. So let's go back there, and you'll see right now it's in a waiting change. And now the ticket is closed. Okay, so this happened automatically through the integration. And the other thing that happened is the implementation date got populated here. So, and then also in the comments, you'll see what happened. Just a brief summary of what happened in ServiceNow. So that is the process. Any questions?
Kiran, Ashwath here.
Hi.
See, before we are creating a change service, we are entering the production migration date plus instruction. Then we create a change service ticket. So let's say like I need some correction in my instruction again. So I can directly correct the JIRA ticket and it will get updated to ServiceNow ticket, or I need to update the change ticket also.
You need to only update the ServiceNow ticket. In fact, the instruction field on the JIRA ticket will be read-only as soon as you create the ServiceNow change request. So as soon as the ServiceNow change request is created, If you need to modify anything, whether it's the date or the instructions, that can only be done in ServiceNow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because the integration doesn't move that, like comments or any changes afterwards. It doesn't move them from one system to the other. So ServiceNow is really the place where the final data that will be used for the migration is going to be. So that's where you would need to make the change.
Okay, sure. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.